Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Happy to be here again with you. So, for the people who don't know me, I just want to quickly present myself. I am a certified life coach and expert and trainer in soft skills. And well, my credentials, it's not my credentials that got me here, by the way. It's my story of pain and resilience and my passion for empowering others. I helped many people all over the world to see the good within themselves, grow resilient, and find the energy to do what they really want. Because this is what I struggled with my whole life. So my path of resilience taught me that nothing is impossible as long as we are willing to do something about it. The only limit is the mind. Hello, Steluta.
Hey, good morning, Hanane. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're watching us from. Thank you, Hanan, for introducing yourself. We are introducing ourselves because we realized that in our previous episode, we didn't get to introduce ourselves. We just went live and dove straight into the topic. So my name is Steluta. Just as Hanan said, I'm a professional coach. I'm a certified coach with the International Coach Federation, and I help people stop self-sabotaging, overcome limiting beliefs, cope with life difficulties, and develop self-leadership, a skill that I find that is critical in our lives. And just as Hanan said, there were a lot of resilience in my life, a lot of stories that I had to overcome and to leave behind me and to build myself to get to the point that where I am here today. And with me and Hanan, we are both coaching partners. We went through the same coaching school together. We were actually coaching peers and we stayed partners till the day. And this is how our project that you're watching here, that you're hopefully watching here with us, was born. It was born through our passion to help people overcome whatever challenges come their way, to help people grow stronger, and to help people create a life for themselves that they love, that they are worth living, that they are proud, and not only for themselves, but also for the people around them. So, for us, this is the second episode of this show, which is called The Path to Resilient. Um, in this topic, in this episode, we will be talking about uh, a topic which is really cool. I really love this topic because it dives into the mindset, but you need to stay tuned with us and watch until the end. In the previous episode, which I will be linking to here for the people watching us on YouTube, we talked about creating awareness, which from our perspective, as not only as coaches, but as human beings, it's the first step to creating resilience. And for the ones who want to watch the first episode, I will add the link in the notes below. So stay tuned. Now, Hanan, getting back to our topic today, we're done with introductions, leave them behind. Um, let's dive right into it, right?
Yeah. So today, the level we would like to go through another level of awareness, which has to do with the way we communicate with ourselves, the messages we send to our minds, and the thoughts we nurture every day. It's amazing how our thoughts and emotions can impact the way we perceive our story, the way we react, the way we act, and everything. This reminds me of how, from my experience, from my accident, I spent many years thinking that my life was miserable, that I had my life didn't have any sense. And then I spent many years noticing myself how these thoughts impacted the way I reacted. It impacted my words, my choices, my decisions, my behavior, my actions, everything. So that's why this topic is very dear to me, because it really is something that I went through, and it makes sense for me to talk about it today. So let's break this down just to allow you to see how our thoughts can impact our behavior and actions. Here, there are three elements to remember: thoughts, emotions, and behavior. My thoughts were negative about myself. I really thought that I'm not worthy enough, that my life was not really worthy, why I have to go through all these things, and that my life was miserable. And of course, when we nurture this kind of thoughts on a daily basis, the only thing that we can have as a result is just to feel bad about ourselves. And then our emotions is like we start nurturing more emotions like anxiety, frustration, anger, non-acceptance, and so on. And then once we are there, once we have this kind of emotions, we start taking actions or reactions or nothing, like isolation. This is exactly what happened to me in the very beginning. I just started taking a lot of distance from my family, from my friends, and keeping myself isolated, because this is what I nurtured. So what is interesting about this combination is that very often when we have a problem, we go and we focus on the symptoms instead of going to the roots and understanding what is going on. We look at the soil, but not at the roots. So this is exactly what happened to me. So I was just looking at what happened, okay, the events around me, but I never went back to understand what's going on. But look, I mean, I was 9 years old. That was not easy for me. I didn't have any resources. I didn't have any coaching, or we didn't have internet at the moment to just like dive in and see how we can help ourselves. But I had my instinct that helped me just to get over it, because I remember very well the day that just clicked in my mind, and I thought like, I cannot spend the rest of my life thinking this way. Either I keep nurturing these thoughts and I will end up again attracting more health problems, or I need to do something about it. And this is when I started changing my thought, changing the way I perceive things. And by the way, you cannot change your story. You can only change the way you perceive your story. And you cannot change something that you are not aware of. That's why changing the narrative, you need to be aware what kind of narrative you nurture every day, what kind of thoughts you nurture every day. And this is when I started really, I mean, telling a new story that today, okay, the pain is here, the loss is there. What can I do about it? How can I turn that into something, into a gain, into something more beneficial to me and to my family? So, and this is how it started. Yeah. Interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting. And so, what I was hearing you saying, and I wanted to clarify it for people listening to us, is that we have thoughts, we have emotions, and we have actions, and they are all interrelated. It is our thoughts that impact the way we feel. And based on the way we feel, we take or we don't take action. And sometimes many of the thoughts are literally something that we recycle. We have so many thoughts every day. I remember reading some research that we have between 60 and 90,000 thoughts every day. And about 80% of those thoughts are recycled, right? There are thoughts that we keep on thinking. Some of them we're not even aware of them. So they are not conscious thoughts. They are not thoughts that we choose. They are thoughts that somehow entered into our consciousness, into our brain. We started thinking about them. The more we started thinking about them, the more neural connections we created around those thoughts, and some of them, they became habitual thoughts. That's why we are recycling them. So we have positive thoughts and we have negative thoughts, right? And the more we continue to think negative thoughts, the more we strengthen the neural circuits in our brain that tend to see the negativity in whatever we're doing. And of course, those thoughts influence our emotions, because I teach meditation, and for me, it is so easy to see how I can influence people's emotions through the thoughts that I put into their minds. And one of my favorite meditations that I teach is I have people go back into a moment in time when they were happy, when they were 100% happy. So, regardless of how they come into the meditation, regardless of how sad, how tired, how stressed, how overwhelmed they feel, at the end of the meditation, of that specific meditation, everybody is smiling. And this is, and I ask them to notice that, to pay attention to that, because this is the way in which we can change our lives, by changing the way we think, by changing the way we feel through the thoughts, through the power of the thoughts that we have, and after that by taking action. Because when you are in a positive state of mind, when you're feeling good, when your energy is high, when you're uplifted, you take positive action, you take action in the direction of the things that you want to achieve. When you're low, when you're overwhelmed, when you're tired, when you feel like the world is ending around you, that
Exactly.
there's no way out, you don't feel like even crawling out of your bed in the morning. And I speak from my own experience as well. I went through moments like that in my life, and I think we all had moments like that. So becoming aware, as Hanan said, we are going back to the awareness that we talked about in our previous message, becoming aware of those thoughts and choosing intentionally to change them. It's what will change the narrative, what will change the story that we are telling ourselves. And doing that in a repetitive way, because it took time for us to develop the negative thoughts and to strengthen the neural pathways that
Mm-hmm.
brought us to negativity. And it will take time to change. But it is important that you start, and it is important that you keep going. And it is important that every time when you observe a negative thought and you change it, that you pat yourself on the back, that you celebrate the fact that you really brought that awareness to work, and that you really are in control of what you're doing, and in control of your life. And this will empower you even more to do that, because that's how the brain works. There is a dopamine which is secreted in our brain when we feel good, when we achieve something, and this will keep, and we will reinforce the path that you are on, of changing your thoughts, of changing your story, of
Mm-hmm.
changing your life. So
Indeed.
these were my 2 cents on the topic.
Yeah, really, indeed. I thought about what you said right now, and I just want to add something. We can either, uh, when we have this negative mood and when we're not feeling good about ourselves, we have two choices. Either we change the narrative, which, like, okay, in my case, for instance, my life was miserable. I didn't have, like, I was not lucky. Why I had to go through all that? That was the narrative all the time. So but the new narrative, the how I changed that was, okay, now it happened. I am lucky that I learned from this experience. How can I find joy with what I already have? So I started more looking for solutions. So the first option is to change this narrative, and sometimes it's difficult. To be honest, sometimes it's difficult when everything around us is negative. The second option that we have is that we can change our actions, because changing our actions can also influence the way we think and the way we feel about ourselves. If you are not feeling good about ourselves, you are unable to change the narrative, go and do something about it. Like, go to the gym, call a friend, do something different. Because we don't change things by taking giant steps. We change things by taking baby steps. every day decide what you want to do. How would you like to do things differently? Just one single thing. Just one single thing. Go to the gym, listen to music, do something. And you see, one of the things that I really love to do is volunteering, doing something for the others.
Yes.
Believe me, and this will be a complete chapter that we would like to talk about, is volunteering, doing things for the others, listening to the others who may be in a very maybe worse situation than where I was. I was spending my days in orphanages just to play with kids and see how can I help them, because I knew that these people, they were deprived from everything. Maybe my issue was health issues, but I still had family. I had an amazing dad who was always present, and somehow I didn't see that in the beginning. But when I stopped and I started like focusing on what I had, I saw that I had many things that a lot of people didn't have. So where we put focus is what impacts our thoughts and emotions and even our actions. So to change the narrative, we need to know what we nurture first, what we keep telling ourselves every day. And in order to be there, you need to be observant. You need to mindfulness can be really very helpful in this regard. Mindfulness transformed my life, because in order, you cannot be busy all the time. Busy at work, busy at home, busy while driving, and find time.
Busy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you talk to people today, the only thing that they tell you, I'm busy and I don't have time to find like 2 minutes, 10 minutes for myself. Come on. I mean, we all have 24 hours. We all can find at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you just take your phone and connect on social media, sometimes that may take you at least 30 minutes or 1 hour.
Or if you watch Netflix, you binge on Netflix every night.
Exactly. So changing the narrative, it's not easy, but you need first to know what you are telling yourself. Write it down, take notes. What are you nurturing every day? What kind of emotions do you have every day? Because knowing what you are nurturing every day is really the first step ahead to change that narrative. And the second thing that I would like to talk about is acceptance. Acceptance. Accepting where you are doesn't mean that you are giving up on things that matter to you. It doesn't mean that you are giving up on yourself. It's just acknowledging where you are right now and doing your best to reach where you would like to be. So accepting really is the start of healing. You cannot be in resistance and acceptance at the same time. You cannot be in positive emotions and negative emotions at the same time. You can only be in one of these, and you need to choose. Every day you have a choice. Believe me, I learned that. I wake up in the morning, I start nurturing thoughts, sometimes negative, sometimes even worse. But I remind myself, like, today I have a choice. How can I make my day great? So connecting to people, doing good things for myself, taking care of myself, and we all can do that. So acceptance really is the start of healing. Acceptance is just an opening, a new opening to the world, and doing things differently, instead of just dwelling on the past and keep just doing the same things over and over again. And the third aspect that I want to talk about, I mean, being aware of the narrative. Acceptance is also another great step to change the narrative. The third thing is focusing on what we can control. Focusing on what we can control. I couldn't control the accident. I couldn't control the loss of my eye. I couldn't control the pain, but I managed to control my thoughts and my emotions. And you see, when you do that on a daily basis, you start nurturing new thoughts and new emotions, which impacts again everything in your life. And you start taking new decisions and new choices, and your life is just changing. And one day you will like, oh my God, This is not me, because we all need this inner transformation to get where we deserve to be. So focusing on what you can control every day, either at work, either at home, wherever you are. What can I control today? What is in within my control? And you see, from my experience, we cannot be in control and focus if we don't have goals, which will be another topic, a complete chapter also. We cannot be focused in our lives if we don't have clear goals. And especially if we don't have goals that really resonate with who we are. I really believe when we have a clear goal, especially something that is aligned with who we are and what we would like to do in the future, everything will be miscellaneous. Everything will be secondary because your focus every day is on your goal. Right, Steluta? Do you agree with me?
Of course, of course. So, um, in my previous roles, when I was working at sales, I had a manager who had a really cool saying, and he was like, us as salespeople, we are like hunters. If we don't have a clear goal, if we don't know what is that we're wanting to achieve, it's like you're going into the market with a gun at your hip, and you're just shooting around without hitting the target. And I think it makes sense. It made sense to me then at the time, and it makes sense to me here. If you do not have a real focus, is it's gonna make you just go with the flow. Whatever life throws at you will take you there instead of you being in control. So both of us help people become more self-confident, develop the skill of self-confidence. And self-confidence is something that you develop through taking action.
Exactly.
Succeeding or failing doesn't matter. Self-confidence comes also from failure, from trying and learning what doesn't work. But it is important that you take action and that you're in control and that you know where you're heading, because at the uh, being just allowing things to happen to you will not take you where you want. You will not create the life that you love for yourself if you just allow life to happen. And I wanted to add something to the second topic that you spoke about, which was acceptance. And because, as you said, acceptance is really important on the path to healing. And what I wanted to say is that healing doesn't mean getting rid of the pain, doesn't mean treating whatever is bothering you. Healing can also mean learning to live with the discomfort, to lean into the discomfort that you are with and moving forward regardless, right?
Exactly.
Because there are situations, there are circumstances in our life that we cannot change. Like for you, right? With your accident and with the loss of your eye, this is something that you cannot change. There will always be physical discomfort. There will always be sometimes pain, not only discomfort, pain.
I still
But
have that.
exactly. But learning to live with it, learning to lean into the discomfort and
Mhm.
listen to whatever your body is telling you, because many times the discomfort that is created in the body helps you. It's like a wake up call sometimes. It's the body showing you that something needs to be changed. And I remember in our conversations when you were in pain, and this pain helped you realize that you're stressing yourself out, that you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, which
Mhm.
allowed you to take a step back and take care of yourself, nurture yourself, and then move on. So
Absolutely.
it is really important to do that, because if you are in if you're always pushing forward and if you're always resisting whatever comes your way, you cannot change. And despite the sensation that you might be in control, you're actually not in control. You're resisting change to happen. And we are
Mhm.
always and constantly changing, which is very important. And
Absolutely.
the change is what we're looking to achieve in our lives. Making positive change, taking positive action in the directions of whatever dreams we want to accomplish, whatever goals we want to accomplish for us and for the people around us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just, before you move on to your next thought, I wanted to share one of my stories, because it was a story that I told myself my entire life, and it affected my professional life a lot. So when I was a kid, I was not allowed to speak. So I lived in a very authoritative family, and when something was there was tension in the air, I was not allowed to speak, to protect myself, to defend myself through words, which quieted me. And I kept telling myself throughout my entire life for many years that I'm not worthy being listened. And I didn't realize that until I started working on myself and working with you and working with my coach as well, that it was something that was stopping my career from moving forward at a time. Because every time I was in a meeting, and when you work in technology or when you work in sales, there's tension. There are situations in which there is tension in a meeting. Every time there was tension in a meeting, I was thrown back into my childhood, in which I was not allowed to speak. My throat would constrict, and I literally was not able to talk
Yeah.
and to defend or to say anything in the conversation, which hold me back many times until I started working on my story, on the narrative that I was telling myself, that I'm not worthy, that my words are not important, that what I do or what I say is not important. Until I managed to change that, until I became aware in every meeting in which that trigger was
Hmm.
holding me back, was in which I was triggered, and then I started holding myself back. And then I started slowly, with each situation, changing the narrative in my head and saying, no, these people do want to listen to me. That's why I'm here. I'm
Hmm.
worthy to be here. My actions, my words are important. That's why I'm asked what I think. And taking the change and making the change happen in my life through actions, through
Hmm.
speaking in this specific uh, example that I gave you. So it's really, really important that you become aware. So the key to everything is awareness, and the key to everything is focus, because this is where your energy goes. And I think we can talk about that
For hours.
for hours.
For hours. Let me just wrap up so that
Yes.
people who joined us right now can at least know what we were talking about. So there are three things to remember about this episode. In order to change the narrative, in order to change your story, well, you cannot change the story because the story is there. Nothing you can nothing change about it. In order to change the narrative, you need to be aware of how your thoughts impact your emotions and how your emotions influence your behavior and your actions. The moment you start being aware of this three elements and how it shapes your vision and it creates your words and it impacts your decisions and choices, you will understand also that whenever you feel bad, you need to go back to the source and do something about it. The second thing, when you are in pain, and I'm not talking only in physical pain, because you can be also in mental pain, you can be emotionally triggered, you can be stressed, any discomfort or inconveniences, you are concerned. So be aware of where your mind wanders every day. uh, the second thing is acceptance. Accept where you are. You don't need to dwell and blame yourself for anything, and you don't need to complain. You see, the people who complain about their situation every day, you know what happens? They just attract more negative things in their lives. So the only thing that I would like to really to add is that if you are struggling with anything right now, keep it for yourself. I mean, don't complain and talk about it, because you are not going to change that. The more you focus on the problem and the more you focus on the blame, you get more struggles and negative things in your life. So use that energy. Use that energy for something bigger. This is something really crucial. And the third aspect is focus on what you can control. Today, if you are looking for a job and you are struggling to find a job, or maybe you are in a transition, you would like to create the life you would like to have, and you are not there yet, focus on what you can control. And in order to focus, in order to control, to focus on what you can control, you need to have clear goals. And I always, whenever I talk about the goals, I always think about the football player. I mean, when the football player is in a game, he has two things. He has the audience and he has the goal. But you see, these players are trained and coached to focus on the goal, despite the noise. Can you imagine a football player going to the stadium and he's looking around him and then listening to this and to this person and what they are saying? It doesn't make sense, because he will never make it. Consider that every day you wake up in the morning, you are a football player, and you have the noise and you have the goal. So focus on the goal. But in order to focus on the goal, you need to know also what kind of noise you have around you, what distracts you. So make a list of the things that distract you in your life, that drag you down, and then focus on what you would like to have in your life. This is really my last message that I would like to keep. Be a football player every day. Believe me, this is something that I learned for myself. I wake up in the morning and I just like try to focus on what I can control, and whatever it's not in my control, it's not that I ignore it, but I just, I'm not focusing on it. It's really, really very important. And thank you for listening to us, joining us today, and then see you next week with a new episode, a new topic again.
Before we go, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like, share this video with people who might benefit from it. Leave us a comment below what you like, what you would like for us to improve. If there is any topic that you would like us to touch upon, follow us on social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. We have a new YouTube channel that is live now, which is called Building Resilience. Look us up there as well and give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. And we are looking forward to giving as much value as possible to you guys to support you in your change. Thank you so much. Have an awesome rest of your week, and see you next week, Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye.
Bye. See you.